Okay, I want to do this live video, and my focus, at least in the beginning, is going to be all for Doug Masico, aka Doug Mesner, aka Lucien Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. Your last email as Andy Villa to me, you said that you were living in my head rent free. And I wanted to explain the situation to you so that you actually understand where I'm coming from in the whole situation. You are definitely in mind, but it is so not, hey, it's so not going to be free. You have always fancied yourself as Mike Aquino's replacement. That's how you've worked. That's what you think. Your ego tells you that you are Michael Aquino's replacement. And I find it almost humorous how angry you became because I was giving that distinction to Thomas Schoenberger. I was going on and on and on about how I believe that Thomas Schoenberger, because I believe Thomas Schoenberger was Andy Villa. And I don't know how I feel still about Thomas, because it's all of this shit is a big ass game. Trying to figure out all of the nuances of all of their bullshit, it's impossible, because it's just fucking amazing. However, now I realize that the fact that I was giving Thomas Schoenberger the distinction you so have coveted yourself, that's the reason why you had to expose yourself as Andy Villa. The fact now that I know that you're Andy Villa connects everything, and the fact that it connects you to Owen, dude, you're right. You are definitely in my fucking mind. You have no goddamn doubt you're in my mind. So, that's how things have changed for me. I think that heaven knew that finding out this little tidbit of information would throw me over the edge spiritually. Everything in my life has been providence. Everything in my life has been providence. But the fact that you're fucking involved explains why Neil did what he did with sending out that email to all of us and all of that, because Neil has known. Because Neil has known since I've moved in here. He knew about the gas station explosion in Early. He knew. He's been working with your group, you know, and you're all connected. And, but with you in mind, Doug, let me explain something to you where I'm coming from in this. Since you fancy yourself Mike Aquino's replacement. The thing about Shane Bugby saying that you told him that you were working with the CIA, I know that you and your group all focus on, oh, Doug's with the CIA. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. Oh, let's just discombobulate everything with that, which is fine. The thing that stuck out to me with the situation is you didn't go through any of the fucking training. You want to be Michael Aquino's replacement, but they came to you as an adult to write papers for them. So you haven't had any of the training. Now, I will say that I have fucked up seriously, bad. Seriously, because there were three things in my childhood when I was a kid that was drilled into my head. Three things. Never start a war you haven't already won. That was the biggest thing. Make sure that you have everything in place. You don't start a war unless you know you've already won it. 2, always fight your opponent where your opponent is not. It's easier to fight. That's the reason why they fight. They fight in the fucking darkness. I fight on the other side. But the one that I fucked up with Doug, Lucien Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, underestimating your opponent is a sure path to oblivion. And I underestimated that dude. When you sent me that shit as chief handler on Twitter, offering me any amount of money that I wanted to stop. Hey, good morning. You offering me any amount of money that I wanted to stop. And then when I told you could shove your money because it was blood money, and you said you had other stuff to offer. And why was I so connected? Because all of this stuff happened in the past. You know, I completely discredited you. I thought you were just, I made you insignificant in my own mind. And as such, I figured you just went away. And I completely underestimated you. Completely underestimated you. And the fact that you are Andy Villa, which connects you to all of the shit that was going on with Owen. Because it wasn't just Pootie Twang, and it wasn't just Geo Farnsworth posting that thing on YouTube saying that he was in my town. It was the Andy Villa account that was leading it. That's the reason why I figured it was Thomas Schoenberger, because I just kind of grouped all of it together, you know? And it's grouped together, but not in the way that I was looking at it. That's the whole perspective. And you had to brag to me about it. When I finally figured it out, sending me that email, you were so pissed off that I was giving Thomas Schoenberger credit that you think is yours. And your ego couldn't help. And now that I know that you're involved with fucking Owen, let me tell you how we're playing. I told you years ago that my sister went and looked at all of your shit. And when she looked at all of your shit, she told me that her assessment is that you wanted to be me. And I had never thought about it before. And I threw it in your face. And of course you denied it and laughed and told me I was crazy and blah, 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 blah. But who am I? I'm the only person I know on this fucking planet that Michael Aquino was afraid of. That's who I am. When I stood at his doorstep and listened to him and his wife in that open window right above my head, they wouldn't come answer the door, and he was terrified I was standing there. That's who I am. And so with that said, with the training, because you want to be me so bad, when you take your last breath, the moment after that, what you get to do is go through the training. That's what separates us, isn't it? You are a god in your own right. You are a god. So spend an eternity going through what I went through as a fucking kid, since you want it so bad, and see what happens. See how you end up. But that's where you're at. So you better put your little horned hat on your head and get fucking people to kiss and pour milk all over them and do whatever the fuck it is that you think you're gonna do to stop what's right in front of you and has already claimed you. The funny thing about it is that your group all likes to hide in the fucking dark. You all like to hide in the dark, which makes it extremely convenient for me. Being as connected to the dark as I've always been. It makes it incredibly convenient for me. The darkness is going to claim your asses. And now I have you in mind, Doug. I'm actually taking care of loose ends before I take my last breath. And you're already done. Unless you can figure out how to undo what I have already done. Go ahead. You wanted to play. And if you're Michael Aquino's replacement, then you should have no problems playing with his prodigal son. Basically. You know? We are at the end. All of the shit that is happening on a spiritual level. Whether people want to believe it or not. All of heaven is here. The earth is being burned away, and what's going to hit us from fucking space is going to solve the rest of it. You know? It is done. We are in a spiritual climb now. There's no time to get you guys all investigated. But what I had to find out, the reason why now, when I look back at it, because that's how it always works with me. Now that I look back at it, I know why I was told to talk about Isaac Cappy and open up comments. And now I know why, when I journeyed, Isaac Cappy was so surprised that I took up him. Because he was totally surprised. But I had to realize that you're all fucking connected. And Doug Mesner never went away. And the fact that you want to fucking, at this moment in time, take responsibility for being Andy Villa and the shit that happened to fucking Owen. Of all the shit that I have had to fucking deal with, you dickhead, Owen was it. Owen was fucking it. So you want to play? Okay. Play. Mr. I'm gonna be the founder of the Satanic Temple, but I'm atheist. You're all things to everyone. You are a god. You are a god. You're all gods. You know, you all thought that you could just do whatever the fuck you wanted to do and then prance around and brag about it. And thought there was nothing I could do. And now you're all fucking acting like little bitches because you're finding out that isn't necessarily the truth. Because I'm using what I was trained to do. There is a reason why Michael Aquino was afraid of me when I was standing on his front porch. Because for me, especially me, with everything that I had gone through with that dude and all of that stuff, standing on his front porch denoted that my programming had seriously fucked up. Seriously. Because someone who had been programmed properly wouldn't have ever found the balls to do that. And that's how I fucking started. You know? With Doug Millar, who is also a bad person. But I'm not going to stay on here long. But Geo Farnsworth sending out his little thing, and, you know, I don't give a shit about your sock puppets, dude. I don't give a shit. Everyone's asking me, well, is this person, and is this person, that person? Who the fuck knows? What do I look like? Nostradamus? Who the fuck knows who any of those accounts are? All I know is that I shouldn't have had to go through all of this shit knowing that they have that shadow dragon program, I shouldn't have had to go through any of that shit because my sheriff is involved and that shadow dragon program is only 30-minute drive down the road. I shouldn't have had to go through any of this, let alone have my sheriff do what he did. But now I understand because it's all connected to that fucking gas station explosion. Because it's all connected to Doug Mesner, the very one who was behind the. If you want to know my connection to Doug Mesner, look at my fucking family. My stepmother, my sister, my sister Cindy's kids, you know? Kathy. Kathy's the one who convinced me that our stepmother was dead for years. So I would let her, let up on her. The whole thing about it is the, and I am glad she's not dead, because I thought I missed the chance to play with her with the dark. Y'all fucking hide in the dark. That's where you keep your fucking secrets. That's what you're afraid of, and you keep your secrets in the goddamn dark. Well, how convenient for me, How convenient for me. Because the very thing that I was bound to before I even knew I existed, that was drilled into my head as a kid, the dark and I are very connected, Very connected. For better or worse. We are at the end. The reaping is happening. If the darkness owns you, the darkness is going to claim you. That's how it works. And old Dougie, he gets to go through the training that I went through as a kid. But again, Doug, you bring what you bring to the table. So since you have such godlike fucking powers, and you're so powerful, it should be no problem for you to fix it, Escape it. Get away from it. But you better work fast. Because the hourglass is almost up for all of us, unfortunately. Or fortunately, however way. Fill your hearts with love and you ascend, But the fact, Doug, that now I know you were involved with Owen has changed fucking everything for me. Everything. I don't know where the fuck anybody is, let alone anybody else. And so we're not playing that game. That's what all of this ends up being. All of their little intrigue, dragging everybody down stupid fucking rabbit holes. And I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with it. I am going to deal with it, but I'm dealing with it on a much different level. I'm dealing with it on a much different level. And the people who have been involved that I have been saying this to repeatedly, as yourself, fucking Doug, you know better than anybody that I'm telling the fucking truth. Better than anybody. And the fact that you actually are involved with Owen you should not have brought down my brother, let alone had to go out of your way to let me know. But of course you did. Of course you did. Because you were so pissed off that I was giving Thomas Schoenberger credit for being Michael Aquino's replacement. When you've always fancied yourself Michael Aquino's replacement. Always. Always. Ever since I've known you, So, you are fucked in ways you cannot even begin to comprehend right now. But you're going to have exactly what you wanted. You want to be the one. You want to be the pet. You just want to be. So when you find yourself in the fucking darkness, that's exactly what you're going to get. Because I aim to please. give you exactly what the fuck you want. Now you get to go through the training as yourself. You get it for an eternity. You know? You'll be just, you know. Doug Mesner has an account called John Kill Rush. Get it? Kill. I get a rush out of killing. Dude, Doug Mesner has about a zillion fucking stock. They're all fake. And he has a huge group. So they just, you know, he doesn't want to be called out. And he needs to be called out. And now it's brought me back to the very fucking beginning. How funny is that? Because now I'm not dealing with the Dead Isaac Happy Club. I'm fucking dealing with Doug, who is what I've had to deal with ever since I published my fucking book. And that was 2012. You know, we have a long fucking history. And even with all of that, and the dude wants me to fucking bow down and think that he's all powerful, but we live 23 miles away from each other, unbeknownst to me, for almost 4 fucking years. But he knew. He was in Tacoma. I was in Algona. I had no clue. You know? I had no clue. And so, when it comes down to it, there ain't no fucking way that I am going to fucking cower before someone who hid from me for almost 4 years. I'm just not gonna cower, you know? Oh, he's big and bad with his fucking group and their goddamn toys. Oh, he's big and bad. But the whole thing about it is that in the end, for each one of them, after they've taken their last breath, they ain't gonna have the group. They all have told themselves throughout this all how they're gods. You know? How they're gods. So let them use their godlike power on an individual basis and let them deal with the dark. Because the only way to retrieve your soul is to go into the middle of the fucking dark and take it. That's the only way it's gonna work. It's the only way they're gonna get their souls back. You have to go into the middle of the fucking dark and then take it back. Otherwise, you're on the ride, you know? There's no getting off. There's no escape. There's no death. No death. In the dark, just like in the light, there's no death anymore. So you exist forever. You know, just what you guys wanted. Eternal lives. And you'll all be masters of your universe because you're all going to be asleep and be influenced by the environment around you. But you get to create in your own nightmares all of the stuff that you get to experience for an eternity. That's what fucking awaits you. And let me point out, you can't fall asleep in a dream. So there'll be no getting away, you know? No getting away. And the darkness is all encompassing. All who go there get to experience all of the splendor that the darkness provides. Doug, you get a little extra. And you can laugh right now. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Prance around, but you of all people know your days are numbered. You of all people know that your days are numbered. And I have told you repeatedly throughout the years, because this is nothing I haven't told you throughout the years. The fact of what's awaiting you in the dark now, that's all new. That's all new. Because of my training, I know how to construct shit on the other side. You know? I'm very good at what I was trained to do. And let me tell you, living in my mind ain't free. But in the end, remember, 4 little words. Just 4 little words. I told you so. I told you from the very beginning. I told you. Everything that I've said to you, you know, all of your shit is falling apart. For all of you. For all of you. And I've had someone argue that I should go at the top, but that's not how you bring down a house built of cards. You burn the little guys first. You bring attention to them. But you're not a little guy, are you, Dougie? You're Michael Aquino's replacement. You know? Except if you're protected by national security like Michael Aquino was, there's something seriously fucked up. Anybody who looks with a discerning eye of the shit that has been going on can see, I'm surprised I'm not crazy. They want to say I'm crazy, but having to deal with this bullshit has not been easy. But finding out that Doug Mesner was behind fucking what happened to Owen has brought it on a personal level that is not in any way going to work for their benefit. Not in any way. Because I am going to use what I was trained. I've used it forever. Thank you. I'm not crazy, you know? And they better hope I am. They better hope I'm crazy. And they better hope I'm lying. Because if I'm not, what awaits them, they ain't gonna like. And I've told them throughout the whole thing, because that's their game. I had to play them at their game. I had to tell them what I was doing even before I did it. Or while I was doing it, but there's no secrets. Everything gets presented on the table. And that's what I've done. And I tell you this because that's been their game. That's what they did with the Illuminati card game. People can say whatever the fuck they want. But that game was published in the 80s by someone in the UK and someone in the United States that both have the same fucking name. And then, yes, in 92 is when we got the pictures. But tell me in 92 how there's a picture of the Twin Towers falling and the Pentagon getting hit with obviously an explosive. There's smoke coming out of both, you know? And it was done in 92. What, they were fucking more psychic than Nostradamus, I guess. That's their game. They play it. Do you think that it is a coincidence that Simpsons predict shit that happened? They call it fucking programming for a reason, you know? And basically, when you come out and you present it like that, then when it does happen, you just overlook it. You just blow it off because, oh, well, I saw that. Isn't that funny? I saw that on The Simpsons. You know, that's what ends up happening. And so, you don't need a looking glass to look back at history. There is no way in 92 when that deck was published that they could know what was going to happen in 2011. Unless, you know, and that's their game. So I've just played their game. I've let them know from the very beginning. They don't believe me. They discredit me. They laugh at me. They run around like monkeys in heat. And they don't listen to the truth of what I'm telling them. Even though I've been consistent. I've said the same thing. The shit that I'm saying, sounds nuts. But this is all shit that I've said throughout all of the years, throughout all of this. You know, with each one of these videos, you just catch a glimpse of a long history. Doug and I have a long history. Doug and his group were behind the death of Lori King. So Owen isn't the first one that I know about Doug. It's just the, you know, a lot of my training was Alice in Wonderland. The best way to connect to the other side when you want to cast is look in a fucking mirror. Because there's this side and that side. There's only two sides. There's no fuck. I was never taught this multi-dimensional bullshit. I was taught two sides, mirror magic, the looking glass, through the looking glass. And on the other side is where stuff is real, you know? But they thought the devil, they thought that their group owned the dark and didn't realize that that's not the case, you know? There is nothing that God and heaven doesn't control. Just as in control of the dark as it is in the light. Just as in control. And so that's, yeah. The thing about it is it, the mirrors were also presented with the whole remote viewing bullshit that they were teaching. And it wasn't bullshit. It's remarkable how intense it is. You know, people, remote viewing, another word for remote viewing is astral projection. You know, that's, all of my stuff was psychic stuff. I never got into the combat like Fiona Barnett because that happens when you're older. When you're, you know, but all the psychic shit, I just was, lighting that dude on fire was not part of my training. And because I wasn't drugged and it fucked me completely up, it fucked the training up. And heaven stepped in and did the rest. It's, when heaven calls you, heaven can be very persistent. When God calls you, it can be very persistent, almost impossible to look away, impossible to fight. And I just think that God always, because there's only two sides to this. Who am I going to serve? Them? Their shit? Are you fucking insane? I ain't fucking, there's no fucking way. Nastiest motherfuckers I've ever met make me feel like I'm dirty every time I deal with them. Or God, heaven, serving heaven, you know? It's harder. It is. It's harder. But so much more worthwhile. And has already won, you know? Has already won. Cults are run exactly how militaries are run. It's all initiation and higher levels and going it, you know. That's what I said in Omaha. I used to explain it this way. You could go to the bars but not be invited to the after bar parties. You could go to the bars and be invited to the after bar parties but not be invited to the festivities after the after bar parties ended. Then you could be invited to those parties, but not be invited to the stuff that was going on in the upper rooms. And then you graduate to where you can do the upper rooms. Now, each one of these things, you're fucking selling your soul because you're doing nastier and nastier shit. Most of the time, what they were doing was fucking recording people doing it. That's how it worked. They would set you up. Then you would get invited to the after bar parties, but you wouldn't get invited to Hummel Park. Then you would get invited to Hummel Park, but you could only make it to the stairs. Nobody got invited to the pavilion, all of the twin fires of hell and the pentagram in the middle of it. Nobody was up there. Just my family, my dad usually. My stepmother wasn't even there. You know, it was just me, my dad, and then a lot of people that were very well connected, you know, very well connected. And some of them changed, but usually most of them, there were consistent ones. That's why I'm telling you, don't believe the shit that they're feeding you right now. Neither side is good. But one side is suffering a little bit harder than the others. This fascist Nazi fucking takeover is not working. It's not working. It's falling apart. Everywhere. And I'm not saying that it's being replaced by anything else, but what's happening is that the people are coming together. Because instead of tearing us apart, everything is falling apart so hard that we have to come together or we ain't gonna fucking survive. And so the elite that have all this money and could fix things or at least fucking help things, don't want to get involved. And sides are being drawn. And there's only two sides to this. You're either on heaven's side and you're doing what we were told to do. Love God, which is life, and love everyone else. Compassion, empathy, caring. Those are fundamental to fill your hearts with love. Or you're on the other side, which is the fucking dark. Hate all you want, you know? And right now it's easy. It's being promoted. It's been promoted. And the gamma radiation that heaven is hitting us with the sun, because have no doubt, heaven is in control of all of this. So all of the gamma radiation that we're being hit, the planet is being hit on, that's creating all this heat, which is also affecting us psychologically, but all of the gamma radiation, it's bringing out the authenticity of people. Because if you're fucking evil, the gamma radiation is just gonna bring you, you're gonna go charging right into it. Because to fill your hearts with love at this moment in time is a fucking constant choice that is connected to constant actions. It just doesn't happen naturally. You have to really focus on it. And that's how we're being tested, you know? See, none of that is... No. We're at the end. Things are breaking down. Things are going to get worse because the sun is fucking hitting us with so many X flares right now that it's only a matter of time before it fries the power grids. We've already started seeing shit in the satellites. You know, there's a reason why things are starting to and now, because of everything that's happened, the Earth is now moving slower. I know that comes as a shock because most people don't follow science, shit like that, but I do. I love, that's a lot of my algorithm is I keep up with what's happening on the planet and in space and the sun, and you know, all of that stuff is important. And it is the likeness and the image of the beast. Everything is so chaotic. There's no way any of this can be maintained because it's just chaos. And it's getting worse on both sides, on every side. Everywhere. There's no way to escape it on a personal level. That's why everyone asks, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Fill your hearts with love and love as much as you possibly can. Save yourselves. Save your souls. Because what I'm telling you is nothing new. It's just we're here. That's what's new. We're here. But what I'm telling you is all shit that we were all told was coming. The earth is not flat, and it is, there's water underneath, you know, there's, everything else is a circle. That means the sun is flat and the moon is flat. and everything else is flat. It's not just, it can't just be the earth is flat. If the earth is flat and it's all two-dimensional, that means everything is flat. That's, you know, exactly. Heaven's kingdom is spiritual. And right now we're at the spiritual pinnacle of all of this. I cannot tell you enough. Fill your hearts with love. And yeah, when you consider what I'm doing, but I don't suggest it, none of you are going to be able to do what I'm being expected to do. And it's not fun. I'm doing it because I serve heaven. And if taking them into the dark and I have to go into the dark as well, and that separates everybody, then that's what happens. I've already agreed to it a long time ago. A long time ago. You know? Yes, giving without trying to save myself gives but beyond my understanding and heals. And that's just it. You don't give. That's what it says. If you do something with your left hand, don't let your right hand know what it's doing. That's the whole key to it. Don't have expectations to it. Just do it because it's the right thing. You know, that it's a good thing, that it helps someone. Just do it for that reason. That's the only reason why you should do stuff, you know? And stand up for justice. Stand up for what's right, you know? That's what's behind me right now is the 8 Beatitudes of Jesus Christ. If you have any questions, go and reread this, you know? The stuff that I talk about, yes, dealing with this child trafficking and Doug Mesner and the Satanic Temple and the Dead Isaac Gappy Club and all of the bullshit, Craig Sawyer, Gabe Hoffman, all of them who have been connected that I have had to deal with throughout the years. That's one thing. That's what the shit that I've had to deal with. But the stuff that I'm talking about spiritually is nothing new. It's not. And again, people can say whatever they want. But usually when you listen to atheists fight, and you listen to all of them fight, none of them talk about what Jesus Christ taught. They never bring up the Gospels. It's everything else but the Gospels. And the reason why nobody ever brings up the Gospels is because what Jesus Christ taught is infallible. It is exactly how it works. There is reasons why we are commanded to do the things that we do. And it's not because heaven is a tyrant. It is because that is just the way things fucking work. You know? Telling you that you can't fly by flapping your arms is not oppressing you if you're trying to prove that you can by jumping off a building. And that's how you can look at it with heaven, you know? What we were taught is the way we can live. The word is the way. It is. The word is the way. And I can't reiterate that enough. You know, it's not about me. I'm just telling everybody, I'm just reminding everybody what we've all heard all of our lives. It's just that we're at the end, you know? So it matters now more than anything. That's the reason why I keep doing this stuff, because it matters. And walking away wouldn't be fair, you know? Wouldn't be fair. And the stuff that I'm doing, don't look at me and think, well, he's not doing that, you know, because no, I'm not. Because my point, I've been like the Pied Piper. I'm leading them all into the damn dark because nobody is safe without this group being contained. The evil inside of them is a virus and it needs to be dealt with. And in eternity, of living an entire existence where evil is all there is and there's nothing else, will I can see the logic in heaven's choice, you know? And it is said, I think it was Nietzsche that said, when you look into the darkness also looks back into you. Try being bound to it as a child and having it part of your existence before you even knew anything else. That's what I've dealt with. And so there's no way to run from something that's inside of you. But I will tell you that the darkness is God's, is heaven's, because I'm heaven's. I'm having to deal with the dark, but I serve the word. Have no doubt. I love heaven. And I am looking forward to people, souls being able to live and breathe joy because they're living the word. Because it's, the only way out is love. The only way up. It's the only way to ascend. Because death is coming. Spiritually, you will either ascend or you will be claimed by the dark. And the only way to ascend is have the energy vibration that only is provided by having love in your heart for God and life and all those around you. No matter how scary it is, no matter how threatening it may be, knowing that doing so is going to bring on your own demise. It's not, those who follow the path rarely feel that they're saved in the end because it's fucking hell, But you do what you have to do because that's what faith is all about. And it's not faith in the church, and it's not faith in people. It's faith in the word. Because the word, again, Jesus Christ's teachings are infallible. That's the reason why nobody ever argues them. They never argue them. They might argue the history, but they can't argue what has been written of what he said, And when he said he came to fulfill the word, what the fuck do you think he did? Love God, love life, love everyone else. Well, that kind of sums everything up. That kind of does fulfill the word. Because if you're doing those two things, everything else is a no-brainer. That's how it works. And forgive. Forgive. I am not called for forgiveness right now. That's, again, unfortunately, it is a do as I say and not as I do situation. But I don't play any bones about it. I'm very honest about it. Because mine is not to forgive, mine is to claim. All their evil shit that they do to me on a continuous fucking basis, they've all willingly bound themselves to me with their own evil shit. And that's how I get to take them right into the dark. That's the reason why when I first got involved with all of this, and then God came and took me up on my offer and offered all of that, what I was told was that I needed to get them to bind themselves to me as adults when I was an adult. The stuff when I was a kid, yes, that all matters. It all worked because that all went into the dark. But I needed to get them to bind themselves to me as an adult. And I was told the way to do that was to raise up and get them to strike me down. That's how it works, is that I have to rise up and get them to strike me down. And they've tried over and over and over and over. And I think heaven has let them try over and over. And even though it's been fucking torture, because there can be no question about their intent. None. The first time they rose up and tried to strike me down, that could be a knee-jerk reaction. They're just mad at him because, the second time was just, well, maybe. But all of the shit that they have done to me continuously has all been focused, and heaven knows their intent now. There's no fucking question about their intent. Fucking Doug Mesner, Lucien Greaves was so fucking pissed off that I was saying that Thomas Schoenberger was the Michael Aquino's replacement, that he had to fucking come forward and let me know that he was the one behind fucking Owen. And so that's the kind of shit that goes on with this whole situation. Their egos are leading them right into the goddamn dark. And I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad because nobody's safe unless this group is incarcerated. And putting them in jail, what? So they can have the fucking sweetheart. Have you seen how they fucking hold each other responsible? I mean, before they murdered Jeffrey Epstein, look at the time that he spent in jail before. Any of you guys end up in jail, you think you're going to be able to get the little sweetheart deal? You have to go sleep there on the weekends. You have to show up at night. But you can leave and do whatever the fuck you want during the day. Go to parties, no problem. Stuff like that. You think that's going to happen to you? Because that's what fucking happens to all of them. If they're even, but the days of them being able to do whatever the fuck they wanted to do and never pay a day's price are over. Again, they hide in the goddamn dark, which makes it incredibly convenient for me. Doug should have never. They just don't act in their own self-best interest because they're so egotistical. They always think that there's nothing that can be done. And they don't realize the shit with Doug. Fuck you, Doug. And I have in ways you cannot even begin to fucking comprehend. But it explains why. It explains why Neil Gross was so eager to try and dismiss all of this shit. Because it goes back to the fucking protection order that was taken out on you. Since Aquino's replacement, then you're going to be able to fight with me the way Michael Aquino trained me. If you're his replacement, then you should be able to fucking fight with me the way I know he could fight with me because he's the fucking one who helped train me. But if you can't, sucks to be you. But I'm not going to stay on here because I don't want to deal with this all day. But I just wanted to make it crystal fucking clear. And having Geo Farnsworth send out that idiotic thing, no, I didn't read it out loud. It wouldn't occur to me. Maybe because I'm not a fucking Nazi, But the fact that you're sending out racist bullshit, wow. Just again connects you to the whole satanic temple and the whole thing that got busted in September. That global satanic Nazi pedophile ring. But Daniel Dowd and Geo Farnsworth, now that I know that you are fucking hooked up with Doug Mesner, you ain't gonna like me either. Because, yeah, you're in my head, but let me guarantee you, it ain't rent-free. It ain't rent-free. I exact a pretty fucking hefty price. Because when you're living in my head the way your group is living in my head, that's never a good thing. You don't want to dwell in my head like that. And if you do, you sure as fuck don't want to jump around and parade around like you guys do. So, That's all I can say about this whole situation. You know, that's all I can say. And for the rest of you, this is all about child trafficking. That's what it's all about. That's what it's been about for the very beginning. Victims that they were disposing of, because that's the history of all of this shit. Bringing victims to them and then neutralizing them. That's what this whole group is dealt with. This is the shit that I told fucking Neil Gross when I sat in his fucking little room being recorded by him for an hour and a half years ago. And so, but the reason why they keep doing their shit and it doesn't work with me is because heaven is making me go through it, and it fucking, there is nothing that can keep me more irritated than their shit. And let me tell you, they're fucking blasting the shit out of me right now because they don't like this shit. You know? They don't like it. But all of their stuff is about ready to be exposed because that's how it works in the end. All of their secrets get brought out into the light. All of their secrets that they hide in the fucking dark. So how fun it is to be able to go through and find it and shine a fucking spotlight on it. I'm doing what we're all called to do. We're not supposed to suffer evil. We're supposed to call it out. In the world and in ourselves. Because that's how it is supposed to work. Because truth and love kind of go hand in hand. Because when there's dishonesty, there's no trust. And it's hard to trust, it's hard to love when there's so little trust. Unfortunately, however, at this moment in time, that is what we're all being called to do. That is what everyone is being called to do. It's just that my priorities go with heaven. The children aren't going to be fucking safe until these motherfuckers are dealt with. That's the way it fucking works. These motherfuckers have to be dealt with. Because they ain't going to stop ever. They find that the darkness makes them powerful. Well, then let the fucking darkness claim them and let's see how fucking powerful they really are. Without their group, without their fucking gang, and without their fucking toys. Let's see how each one of them measure up. Because there are a lot of fucking victims that they've put in the same shit where they're headed that they had no mercy for. And so those victims deserve justice. They sure as fuck do. And it's karma can be an absolute bitch. And if you find yourselves in the dark, you ain't gonna fucking like it. So like it or not, fill your hearts with love. Save yourselves and your souls. Because if you don't, you ain't gonna like the consequences and no one's gonna give a fuck how you feel about it. That's how it works. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So act accordingly, I guess. And with that, I'm going to end this, guys, because I'm almost at an hour. And I just feel like I'm ranting. You know, I just feel like I'm ranting. The whole fact that Doug Mesner was involved with this just ends up infuriating me in a way that I just didn't think I could be any angrier about the situation. I just didn't think that I could be any angrier about the situation. And pushed me right over the edge. Right over the edge. And the thing about what people don't understand, and I know it scares people, But the darkness protects me. It feels a real protection with me. I don't know if it was the rituals that were cast that bound me to it or whatever, but it's very mothering. And so I just needed to open the door and let it go deal with the people who have brought me pain. And we'll see what happens. That's how it works. You know, I have fought from doing anything like this all my life. I have fought and fought and fought. Fought heaven, fought heaven, fought and fought and fought. But yesterday, I just couldn't fight anymore. So I just embraced it and opened the doors and allowed it to happen. And do I feel bad? Not even in the fucking slightest. Not in the slightest. But again, don't do as I do. You know? Because what I'm doing, I've already agreed to go into the dark. You know? I agreed to go into the dark a long time ago. I have been working with the whole idea that I was going to end up in the dark right along with them. Because to do mirror magic, what you see on the mirror on one side has to be on the other side. You know? That's how this shit works. And I figured I was going to be the Antichrist at the very beginning. So I was fucked anyway. That's how I looked at it. You know, to be quite honest, I thought I was fucked at the beginning anyway, so what difference did it make? But the darkness is here to claim. And Doug better hope that he has more than a little horned hat, pouring milk. He can whip out his dick and balls and lay it on any fucking gravestone he wants. But I don't think it's going to save him. That's just me, personally. He wants to be fucking Michael Aquino's replacement. Okay. But realize that Michael Aquino was fucking terrified of me because he knew what he taught me and what happened. You know? There's a whole reason why. Through the darkness. The reason why we find through the darkness we find the light is because through the darkness you have to find the light. And that's the thing about the dark for me, is that it's not dark because I'm not separate from the Father. I'm not separate from heaven. I'm doing what I'm being asked to do. The whole thing about it is that my promise in all of this is that at the very end, when this is over, I never have to think about this again, ever. That's the rest of my existence. I don't ever have to think about any of this again. It fades away like a dream. Not even a bad dream, because a bad dream can linger. But what I was told is that it fades away like a dream. It doesn't even, like it didn't even exist. You know? And the dark isn't dark for me. I actually really like to go into the dark. Because like I've said, on the other side, when I go inside and I go into the dark, it's an amazing garden. That's what's so funny, is that this group of fucking dickheads are in a place, asleep, in a garden that they would have given both nuts and a left arm to fucking exploit. And they're completely surrounded by this amazing garden that they can't see because they wanted full separation from the Father. So again, okay, heaven serves to bless. Of course, without total separation from the Father means there's no light. You know, no light, which means there's no fire. So there's no fire, there's no heat. But okay, hey, you know, that's what you want. Exactly. Evil is just the opposite of live. Evil is the opposite of live. And to live is to love. That's how it's supposed to be. You know? And the new garden on the other side, those who find themselves in the new garden, there's no veil next time. There's no fallen. Mankind works with heaven, and heaven works with mankind at will. At will. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And people who find themselves in the new garden will breathe in joy. The shit that we're going through now is hard. And to actually truly do it means you're probably going to get martyred. That's the fucking shit about it, But a servant isn't greater than their master. And Jesus Christ, who is the one who taught the word the best, look at what he had to go through. And we're not above Jesus Christ. We're not above heaven. If heaven requires us to sacrifice ourselves for the word, which is love, then that's what we're called to do. And by that, I am leading by example. I am leading by example. Because do you think dealing with all of this bullshit, I couldn't have found something better to do with my life? Really? You really think I've lost everything? Not that I haven't gained shit back, but at the beginning, everything. Everyone. 20-year relationship, But what is one life to give to God, In the scheme of time and everything, what is one life to give to God? We're just being called, and it's what's required of us right now. And so I do what I do because I love heaven. Because if I didn't have to deal with this bullshit, if I never had to think about Doug Mesner again, I would be fucking happy. The Dead Isaac Cappy Club. I'm sure Emily Thorne or whatever the fuck she's calling herself, they're involved. There's a whole fucking army involved in this. But now that I know that motherfucker was involved with Owen, now I even understand that fucking weird ass thing at the Capitol this year with the Baphomet statue that some dude came up from some other place and fucking beheaded it. It was all obviously in Iowa. It was big news. And now I know why, because it was just one big fucking distraction. But old Dougie, couldn't stand the fact that I was saying that Thomas Schoenberger was the replacement for Michael Aquino. Couldn't fucking stand it. And his ego is completely out of control. It is his biggest flaw. It is most of their flaws. Their egos. They think they're fucking brilliant. And they may be. But just because you're brilliant doesn't mean there aren't other brilliant people in the fucking room. And some of them can outthink you. That's what you have to look at and realize, And those people rarely are the ones who are running around telling everybody what they're doing. So, again, for the most part, their ego will be their downfall, The guillotines aren't even going to be used. They were supposed to be used a long time ago. And all of those fucking, those Greaves, all of this shit was meant. Their shit has fallen apart. When I was a kid, do you know that the camps were supposed to be up and running by 2015? I've said that before, repeatedly. By 2015, 2016, they were supposed to be up and running full force. The whole fascist takeover was supposed to happen way before then. But I noticed, when did they start losing control? When is the first time they didn't have a tight reign over everything? Because they had a tight reign over everything for so many years. They were able to assassinate fucking JFK. 2006. If you look at 2006, That was a pivotal fucking year. That they did stuff that was not probably in their best interest. 2006, the U.S. Air Force went in front of Congress and told them about these weapons that existed and they were going to use on American citizens to show the rest of the world they were safe. Do you know also what happened in 2006? My dad died. My dad died in March, and I turned 40 in December in 2006. That's what I'm saying. That was when I noticed that their hold, and now they don't have fucking control of anything. Nothing. Nothing. It's so out of control that now they're just running around making threats and doing all this weird shit and thinking that no one is going to notice or call them out. But it's because the darkness feeds their egos. If the darkness is inside of you, as I've said before, it's just an open invitation. It just gets inside. And then it just promotes you to do all this weird ass nasty shit. You know? That's what it does. That's what it likes to do. You know? That's the reason why your secrets aren't going to stay fucking hidden. Because you want to know who knows about your fucking secrets? You. And if the darkness knows you have secrets, it's just going to get inside of you and have you bring it all out yourselves. That's why I do these videos, you know? But I don't know how I feel about Thomas Schoenberger. I don't. I have not come to any conclusions whatsoever. Distrust is hard to dispel, and there's other stuff. But I can't blame him for being Andy Villa. You know? He's not Andy Villa. And so, no, I have not heard. Who is he? I think, how do they kill people? I think they've tried over and over and over. You can't talk about it, but what do you think we just went through? It was their Agenda 21. And so anybody who comes out, see, the whole thing about it is that people who are connected with this stuff, they're starting to realize that their souls are on the line. That's the whole thing. If that guy was connected, people are starting to realize. As you get older, it was funny. My dad didn't think about it until he was fucking facing his own mortality. And then, in the fucking stupidest, weakest way, which is just typical of my father, he tried to come clean, which still counts, because he was trying, you know? He was trying, but he did it because he was facing his own mortality. When you think that you're immortal, you're going to live forever, fuck, you don't think about any of that shit. But then when you start to think that you could die, and you might have a soul, and that soul, there might be conditions for where you end up with your soul that's eternal, it starts to change things. That's, young people don't think about their souls, you know? They think about God, maybe, or the church, but they don't think about their own souls. That's what I want everyone to start thinking about, is your own souls. Where do you want to end up? Because we are at the reaping. The wheat is being separated from the chaff. And if you end up being part of the chaff, you ain't gonna like where you end up. And so that's the whole key thing for all of this, for each one of us individually. You know, what I'm doing, that is the guy. So John Todd Collins, the guy who disappeared out of coming out publicly, he was a former high priest. Yeah, because he's starting to realize. And the thing about it is that their rituals don't work anymore. That's the funniest thing about it. Their rituals don't work anymore. Their shit does not work. Their shit does not work. They all started wars. They all thought they could win. And it fucked up. Now they're in endless wars. That's how it works, you know? But I will never underestimate fucking Doug Mesner again. So I've dealt with them. in every way that is he's dealt with. You know, his own shit's gonna come out anyway. His own shit is gonna come out. Sorry, not sorry. That's exactly it. Not sorry even in the least. Not sorry even in the least. That's the biggest thing that I have had to fight with spiritually, was that I cannot overcome the anger. It is hard for me to love this group because I can't bypass the anger. And I know that loving this group, they're just going to take it and abuse it and use it and keep doing fucking stupid shit that hurts people. They have no mercy. Their evil shit makes them feel powerful, and they like power. So they do all kinds of nasty shit. And then they dance around telling themselves how fucking powerful they are. How they can't be held accountable. And the fact that Doug wants me to cower before him, and we lived 23 miles away from each other for almost 4 years, and he never, had I known that, but now I realize, fuck, I should have known, because Pat Goodwin was not my friend. But I do appreciate it. I'm glad I got out into Washington. I'm glad I lived there. I'm glad I went through everything that I went through. Do I miss coming out my front door and seeing Mount Rainier right there? Just, yes, I do. Yes, I do. But I was meant to come back to Iowa at this moment in time, because being, you know, but the fact that Doug knew that we lived 23 miles away and that he was getting into my house, and he was the whole reason that he was like behind all of the fucking harassment, all of the videos, every single video listed on that protection order had absolutely nothing to do with the petitioners, but only and solely dealt with Doug Mesner. I just didn't realize that until after court. Because after court, and they got the protection order, I went home to get rid of the videos because I didn't want to get in trouble. So I started watching one, and it was about Trump. And then I started watching all the rest of them and realized this has nothing to do with any of the petitioners. It's only Doug Mesner that I'm talking about in any of these videos. Which, again, how can you can email me, yeah. You can email me. davidshurter1@gmail.com. That's probably the easiest one. That's what my YouTube is. But it's all been Doug. Because Doug has been neutralizing survivors. It's just that this is a huge spider web. And you get caught in one strand, and it's hard to actually get back and look at the web itself. Because you get stuck in one strand. Just like with this whole thing with Owen, and I was dealing with the Dead Isaac Happy Club, never once, it was hard for me to put, up until just recently, even though I knew that Doug was involved with neutralizing survivors, I had him dealing with survivors and the Dead Isaac Happy Club being involved with the child trafficking. But I didn't combine the two. I hadn't combined the two in my own mind. It took me a minute to actually combine, at gmail.com. It took me a while to combine the two just recently. But now that I know the Daniel Dowd and Gio Farnsworth were working with Doug Mesner with this whole situation with Owen, and knowing what the fuck my sheriff was involved with Doug Mesner, just with the goddamn gas station alone, and there was a lot more before that. It explains it all, and it has changed me in a way that probably they're not going to like. It's not going to work in their self-interest. Let's just say it that way. It's not going to work in their best self-interest. Because are they living in my head right now? Yeah. Yeah, the fuck they are. But it ain't going to be free. it ain't gonna be free. And that's all I'm fucking, I can't reiterate that enough. The dark is here to fucking claim them. And they're all protecting. My sheriff is working to fucking protect a satanic fucking Nazi pedophile group that they're all involved with. That's what the fucking Dead Isaac Cappy Club is involved with. That is what fucking Doug Mesner is involved with. And it's funny because he has all those fucking satanic temple, after school satanic daycare bullshit everywhere. That's popping up everywhere. If you Google it, it says, wow, it's just popping up everywhere. Yeah, I fucking wonder what that's all about. And then start investigating who's actually behind each one of those things opening up. Because those are real interesting to find out. Because he finds the same type of personalities. You know? The whole thing needs to be, still is. I take it that's that Jesse Sesbar wants to be his girlfriend. They're all fucking involved. They're all involved. They're all involved. But right now, Doug Mesner is fucking focused on saving his own ass. And that's the fun thing about this group, is because they're all going to start sacrificing each other. Just watch. They will. Now that the heat is getting on, they'll start throwing each other under the bus. I fucking emailed Thomas and told him, if he is who he says he is, then he needs to realize. Because he says they're trying to set him up. Well, if they're trying to set him up, maybe you shouldn't be crowing about the virtues of my fucking sheriff, because my sheriff is working with them. And so if they're working to set you up, that means my sheriff, Neil Gross, is working with them to set Thomas up. And there was a real focus on getting me to believe that Thomas Schoenberger was Andy Villa. The fact that it's all changed now, could it be a game? I now know that Andy Villa is fucking Doug Mesner. Once I was open to the thing, because I have so much shit of Doug Mesner, I just went back and started reading, comparing how things are being said. Oh, fuck. The fact that Doug Mesner is behind Owen was... Dougie, you just don't have a fucking clue what's waiting ahead of you. And your goddamn ego is so goddamn big. But you're Michael Aquino's replacement, so, you know, I'm sure that you'll have absolutely no problem dealing with what I've sent your way and what awaits you. You'll have no problems. You're a goddamn god. Andy Villa is Doug Mesner. I just thought because he fucking was so pathetic on Twitter that he went away. I should have known better. You know? I should have known better. But now that I've gone back and read, there's no goddamn doubt. And how I know is that he sent me a fucking email where he was saying, well, seems I'm living rent-free in your head, but it went on from there. He was fucking angry that I gave Thomas Schoenberger credit for what he so desperately wants. And so, but again, with that whole thing with Shane Bugby, and that's how I'm going to end this, because I'm hungry. I want to go eat lunch. To go down into my kitchen and cook something. But what I will say with the whole situation is that what caught me about Shane Bugby, saying that the CIA came and Doug Mesner told Shane Bugby that he was working with the CIA writing papers, is that Doug never went through the fucking training. That's the reason why he does the stupid shit that he does. And motherfucker, it's going to be hard to fight with me on the level I'm fighting you if you don't know what that level is. But then again, always fight your opponent where your opponent is not. Never start a war you haven't already won, which I already had when I got involved with all of this. My objective was to get you all to do your fucking worst, to do all the evil shit you possibly could to me, to bind yourselves to me. That's been my whole goal through this whole situation. I've been honest. I've said it repeatedly throughout the years. I just keep saying the same shit over and over and over. But you don't listen, and yet you still keep binding yourselves to me with all of your evil shit. And so that's what with that said, but I will never underestimate you again, dumbass. I did not I underestimated you. I thought you were pathetic. Didn't. You're more tenacious than I gave you credit for. But I thought you were so busy dying that you couldn't focus on anything else. Because you don't look well. You don't look well. The last grain in the hourglass is about ready to fall, dude. And you ain't gonna like what awaits you on the other side. I can just tell you that. You ain't gonna like what's waiting for you. 4 little words. Just 4 little words. I told you so. Just remember, I told you so.